Helping the backbone of America's economy. Meanwhile, it was the first weekend of the federal government's small business loan program. Edward Lawrence is live in Washington this morning with an update. Edward.
Yeah, Maria, this is the first of the direct money from the federal government to help sustain the economy by flowing directly into small businesses. Now, when I say flow, I mean it flowed this weekend. Some big numbers in a very short amount of time. Just take a look at this. 17,502 loans have been processed so far. We're talking about more than 1,100 bank branches. The money paid out so far, $5.4 billion. Now, this is part of $350 billion used in the payroll protection program that they call CARES Act called for. In this direct lifeline to small businesses, the loans will be forgiven if the businesses hold the line on layoffs and the average monthly payroll does not fall by more than 25%. Now, a senior Treasury official tells me the program has been running relatively smoothly, led mostly by smaller community banks. The official says all of the big banks are expected to fully come online today. However, Bank of America on Friday was helping existing customers that only had their credit cards. Wells Fargo and JP Chase were taking applications but not completing those loans. The president's still pumping the program.
It's all about employment. It's all about jobs. Want you to keep your jobs. Give small business funding to keep the workers on the payroll.
And the goal is to keep those workers, to keep the economy going, to make sure that small businesses do not lay folks off. Now, on those direct payments to Americans going forward, those direct checks are expected to still be start deposited on April 17th. However, this week, the IRS putting up on their website a link for you to verify your income. And then if you changed your direct deposit information or change your relationship with the bank, then you can change that information on the website this week with the IRS. Back to you, Maria.
All right, Edward. Thank you. Edward Lawrence with the latest there. Joining me right now is Freeze Associates founder and former Wall Street executive Foster Freeze. Talk more about the backdrop. Foster, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
I'll get up any day at 3:45 to come have time with you, Maria. Just call me.
You are a doll. Thank you so much. I'm sorry you got up so early. Foster, let me get your take on what happened this weekend in terms of this small business package, because there were a lot of banks that say, look, we don't understand the rules. We're not going to lend out money because we don't understand where we can lend and where we can't lend. We just got the clarity on PE investments, that's private equity investments, which opened the door for private equity to invest in things like restaurants, hotels, franchises, and they need that money. Overall, the problem is that Treasury limiting how funds can be used, which limits the program's benefit. What do you know about this, and what do you think small business needs right now?
Well, one of the confusions was that if you take out a loan and then subsequently have another loan, it could cause a default on the government-backed loan. So there's some real confusion, which underscores, Maria, we have to change our whole legislative process. These fellows, they're drinking from a water hose. 883-page document given to them 20 minutes before. And if you read through these things, it's so much gobbledygook. We have to get back to the point where we get citizens more involved, so that citizens can understand the laws that are written for them. So I think the process has to be simplified if that's possible.
What's your take on reopening the economy? I mean, do you think additional stimulus for small business or even individuals will be needed? What's your take about the current shutdown, Foster?
I think I was just on the conference call with McCarthy and Pence, Vice President Pence, and also Dan Crenshaw. And all of them, the conversations are, how does this stimulus package going to work? What are the nuances of it? And they're talking about confronting the virus. We have to spend more time now, figuring out how are the steps that we begin opening up the economy. Maybe theaters should sell just a limited number of tickets, and they should have chairs marked so that they're spaced properly. Maybe restaurants should limit the amount of people they take in. And so how do we get the economy back running? It has to happen at some point, but the main thing, we have to do it safely. And that's where science and data comes in. We're very blessed to have Dr. Birx and Dr. Fauci to guide us through that. So the first thing we have to concern about is people's lives. And when people talk about the economy, we have to think about people's lives. It's my portfolio goes up and down. It's not going to change my life. And 96% of the people are employed, but we have to think about that woman on the show the other day, the hairdresser. People say, well, wealthy people don't have to have their hair done, but heaven's sakes, it's those little guys that are doing the hair and the barbers and the hotel maids. These are the people we have to look out for because they're the ones that are getting massacred by this thing. So when we talk about the economy, we have to think about them, and our portfolios will do just fine in the process, but let's think about the little guy.
Yeah, I mean, you've got things like, you know, the barbershop, the yoga studio, the restaurant, all trying to understand how they're going to actually get back in business here. It's good to see business come together with the administration, that's for sure. You've got the pharma sector working closely with the administration on cures as well as on treatment. And then you've got, you know, the banks also trying to do their best. But how long do you think this is going to take to get back to normal? And I think what you just said in terms of what restaurants are going to do or movie theaters, do you think this is going to have a long-standing impact, whereas restaurants are going to say, look, you know, people are not going to want to go to crowded places anymore. They're going to have to make changes in the way their seating goes.
You're absolutely right. And how many people are going to want to fly to foreign countries? So there's a lot of things going to be changing. The homeschooling thing, though, my neighbor is having some problems. Yesterday, 2 kids were disciplined for fighting, and a teacher got fired for drinking on the job. So I don't know that homeschooling is going to work out that well. But you're right, Maria.
Oh, wow.
We're going to see a lot of changes take place, and some of them are going to be very positive. I think now you see a lot more family time together. And I think you can use this as an opportunity, this crisis, to forge our nation into the kind of system and society we would like. For example, telemedicine. Yeah. This has been proven now to be very effective, and there's other things that are going to be very helpful. And I think we're going to have to just wait and let the science and the data and Dr. Birx and the people who care about people's lives, and that should be our number one concern. The economy is going to be different than it was before, and we just have to make sure that we take care of people first.
Foster, real quick, do you think we're going to see some dividend cuts from the big banks? You know that Jamie Dimon wrote his annual letter, and this morning the letter was released, and he says that J.P. Morgan's Dimon says under an extremely adverse scenario would the board likely consider suspending the dividend. Under an extremely adverse scenario, board would likely consider suspending the dividend. That if the board suspended the dividend under an extremely adverse scenario, it would be out of extreme prudence. He says we are assuming that the future will include a bad recession combined with some financial stress similar to the crisis of 2008. Your reaction to what we're hearing from Jamie Dimon this morning?
I think that's a very strong possibility. If you look at what's happening to a lot of their customers, you know, hotels are going to be struggling for a long time after we get the coronavirus under control, and many of their customers. So I think the banks are fortunately well capitalized, like they were much better capitalized than they were going through the 2008 crisis. So I'm almost willing to bet that some will do some cuts in dividends, and that's just something that it's not going to affect the people who are going to get back to job as hotel maids and barbers, and those are the people you have to think about first. It's amazing how there's things people hiring a caterer to go give food to the elderly. So there's a lot of different things. Maybe people should go home and put their new bathroom on or a new deck. Yeah.
Foster, thank you so much for weighing in. We so appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Maria. You're just it's a nice inspiration to start the morning with that joyful face of yours. So keep doing it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Foster. Foster Freeze joining us there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.